Okay, you're live.
All right. Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Native Wellness Institute Power Hour today. My name is Chelsea Luger, and this is my husband, Thosh, on the other Zoom screen. And we're coming to you from Fargo, North Dakota, and from Phoenix, Arizona. Today, we're going to be talking all about stretching and recovery for post-workout and for off days, which means days when you're not working out, you're having a rest day, which are very important. And the reason that we're doing this topic is because it's, usually we talk about the importance of movement and fitness and staying active, but rest is a big part of that. It's a really important component of our movement practices to be mindful and conscious of your rest days and to take care of your body on days that you're not training heavily. Our muscles need recovery and need rest in order to build and in order to remain healthy and to grow. It's just like how our brains need to sleep in order to retain and learn information. We can't just be awake learning all the time. Our muscles are the same way. They need a little rest and a little break in order to recover. So just a little bit more of an introduction about myself. Like I mentioned, I'm in Fargo at the moment, even though I live in Phoenix with Thosh. I'm at my mom's house in her little home gym. As you can see, she's got a treadmill and a exercise bike and a little bit of weights. But I'm not going to be using any of that today. We're just going to be using our bodies and a few small recovery tools that Thosh is going to share with you. I'm from the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa and from the Standing Rock and Cheyenne River Sioux tribes, and I am a trainer for the Native Wellness Institute. So with that, Thosh, you can go ahead and introduce.
Yeah, so hello, everybody. It's good, Thosh. My name is Thosh Collins. I'm from the Salt River people on Akameda O'odham. I'm one of the board members of the Native Wellness Institute. And if you've been tuning into the Power Hours Live, you've seen me and Chelsea on here before sharing what little we know about this area of health and wellness and how it relates to our people, how it relates to our culture and our cultural evolution. And so I'm glad to be here. I'm glad everyone's joining in. Also one of the board members of the Native Wellness Institute. I'm not sure if I said that already. Co-founder of Wealth for Culture. That's what our initiative that both Chelsea and I had started together in 2015, I believe, 2015. And so we are just happy to be able to share what little we know. And as Chelsea said, I want to kind of echo some of the comments where she said that recovery is so important. We hear a lot about exercising a lot. We hear about people, training hard, but recovery is just as important, if not even more important. And so sleep, like she said, is very, very, very important. And everything we're going to talk about today, such as static stretch and dynamic warm-up, dynamic stretch, and utilizing a couple of tools such as a foam roller and a lacrosse ball to help with myofascial release, to help increase mobility, help reduce muscle tightness, inflammation, all that kind of stuff, pain. And so we're not experts in this area at all. And we are utilizing what we've learned from learning from other people in this field and just from our own experience. So everything that we're sharing here, we encourage you to do your own research, to find out, to look up these things, to learn a little bit more if you're interested in the science behind it. There's lots of science that supports all these different techniques. And so you can look that up for yourself as well. And what we always do is encourage our people to move again, to make physical movement the norm within our cultures today. Because as we know, and I talk about this all the time, our ancestors were very athletic people, and movement was a big part of our ancestors' way of life. Our ancestors worked all day. They were constantly building things, creating things, always on their feet. They had a variety of different games that span all across Turtle Island. Our dances show how active our ancestors were. They show what athleticism was a normal, just an everyday part of our culture. And as we know today, as we are in the healing phase from the lasting impacts of colonialism, we are trying to restore our relationship collectively as Native people to movement and make that the norm again. And so movement is everything from playing conventional sports, playing ball. It's power dancing. It's doing modern exercise, functional training like we're going to do a little bit today. It's doing yoga, combat sports, Zumba, a CrossFit, whatever it is that it is to you, taking a swift hike, working in the canoe if you're a coastal person, working with the horses, that's all forms of movement. And so, and no matter what type of movement that you're doing, an indigenous game or conventional sports, you need recovery. And it's really important. So we're going to be sharing things that everybody from all athletic levels and all ages should be able to do some of these things. It's for everybody. You don't need to be an athlete that's training and working really hard in the gym every day to do some of the things that we are going to be showing you. So please feel free to follow along. All you need is just a little bit of free space like we have here, like Chelsea has a little bit of space behind her. You see in the back there, I got a foam roller and a lacrosse ball, and I'm going to be sharing a little bit of those things too. And even if you don't have those, you can still watch the video and take note for next time that you might have the opportunity to get one. You might be able to utilize these.
Yes. Okay. So, Thosh, did you want to start us off with a little bit of a dynamic movement?
Yeah.
Is that all right? Okay,
yeah.
So I'll just intro that too real quick. Thosh is going to share with us a dynamic movement just to warm up our muscles and kind of mimic the state of how our body might feel after a full-on workout session. So it's really important to warm up, like if we're going to go into a deep stretch, it's important to warm up our muscles before we do that. So after Thosh does this warm up, I'm going to share some stretches. So I'm going to follow along with everyone here, and Thosh, go ahead and take it away.
Yeah. And so just to kind of also reiterate, add a little bit more to that, a dynamic warm-up means that we're going to be moving through all of the range of motion without any static holding of the movement. So you're still kind of getting a bit of a stretch, and you're getting your heart rate up, and you're getting some blood and oxygen to go to those muscles. So a dynamic warm-up, also known as a dynamic stretch, is something that we would do before any kind of training. All the movement modalities that I previously mentioned, you can do simple dynamic warm-ups like the one we're about to do to kind of get our muscles warmed up. That way we can kind of stretch them a little bit, okay? So that's what a dynamic warm-up is. It's different than a static stretch. Static stretch is what most people are kind of aware of these days, where we hold the position for 30, 40 seconds or longer. So if you're joining me, actually, I'm sorry, I'm going to get a little stand right here. So I want you to go ahead and join me. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with some quick breathing because we need to get oxygen to our muscles. So we're going to start off with some quick breathing. And if you joined us before on any of our other virtual movement sessions, you might recognize this, what we do here. So we're going to do a little 30 seconds of some breathing here. Here's how it's going to go. You're going to suck in air, oxygen with your nose and your mouth like so. And then you're going to exhale it out pretty rapidly. Okay, so it should look like this. And notice that when I take in the oxygen, I'm not just bringing it in my diaphragm, my chest. I'm bringing it into the core of my stomach here. So watch so as I step back. So it's here and here, in the nose and the mouth. Excuse me. So we're going to do that for 30 seconds. So go ahead and join me with it. And if you have friends and family that are in the room, go ahead and invite them or let them know you're going to be doing some breathing patterns so that way they don't think you're weird. But this is what we should do. We should make these things normal. Make these things normal again. Okay, this may be different for all of you, but that's what healing, movement, and wellness is about. It's about trying new things in our journey, okay? So we're going to do that breathing pattern for 30 seconds. We're going to start in 3, 2, 1, and go. So if you were really good at doing that, then you might feel a little woozy, and that's because you're getting a rush of oxygen. And I always do that. When I do that, I start feeling tingling in my forearms, my stomach, and in my quads, in the back of my hamstrings. I feel all this tingling, and that's oxygen getting through the nervous system, through your muscles, through your blood. Your blood is carrying that. But if you want to think about it in a spiritual sense, you're bringing in that power, that energy that's all around us that the great creator has given us. That's what one of my mentors that told me, when you suck in that air, air is a gift of life by great creator. We're sucking it in and we're bringing it into our body. We're welcoming in that medicine through our body, because most of the days we don't really think about that. We're just going through our day, and your autonomic nervous system is breathing for you. So it's important to acknowledge the breath and to bring it in. So now just follow along right here. I'm just doing easy movements. So look at how I'm standing upright, and I'm keeping my breath going. See how I'm kind of walking in place? Notice my hands are loose.
I just bonked my elbow.
Uh-oh, yeah, be careful. Make sure you have a little space. Now I'm walking in motion a little bit. Now I'm going to alternate. I'm just waving here. And if you've been in any of our previous movement sessions, you know I just like to do simple stuff like this. See how I'm standing upright? My arms are nice and loose. I'm trying to create some mobility in my shoulders. I'm getting my heart rate to increase. Then we're going to be walking in place. Oops. We're going to be walking in place right here. Use your arms. Keep breathing. Now you're moving into here. See how my elbows are up? Keep breathing. Now what you're going to do is simply, you're going to be lifting up each leg at a time, touching your ankles, like so. And really take your time with this. If you find yourself unstable, just take your time. You don't want to lose your footing. See how I'm turning my foot out? I'm turning my hip socket. Good. Now you're going to do that inwards, alternate. Those are really easy movements that I learned from a friend who does fall prevention with elders. So if you're an older person, those are good ones to work on as well, because they help with your footing, they help with the stability in your core and in your feet and in your calves, and it helps with mobility in our hip. So let's open up our hips just a little bit. This is one of my favorites. I do this on all the time. You may have seen this before if you've been on any of our virtual sessions or in-person workshops. I'm just doing this. See how this leg is straight. This toe is pointed up. Left knee is bent. Right ear is bent towards the straight. Now look at it from the side. I'm not bending forward. I'm bending sideways. And I'm alternating back and forth. And I'm breathing. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. Breathing in, breathing out. So it should look like that from the front. Good, 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 good. We're getting our heart rate up a little bit. And then now let's just throw some jabs. Throw 1, 2s. See how I'm just right here? Keeping on breathing, and I'm walking in place as I do it. See that? Putting them right out in front of you. Breathing, keeping it moving. Getting our heart rate up a little bit. Now you're going to move into uppercuts. See how it's kind of like you're running in place too. See how this? Breathing. Now you're going back to this. Shake it out a little bit. So if you're really breathing and really moving with that, your heart rate might be up a little bit. Maybe you're not sweating and maybe you're not feeling fully warmed up, but maybe your heart rate is up a little bit and you're kind of feeling you're feeling a little bit more loose. You're feeling a little bit more loose, like you want to move up. So where do you want to go to next, Chels? Do you want to want me to continue on with some other dynamic movement, or do we want to get into the static stretch?
Let's actually go into the equipment. Mm-hmm. Let's share some of our recovery tools that we use, and we'll end with the stretch. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'll start, and Thosh, you can actually join me if you have your foam roller on you as well.
Yep.
All right, cool. So this is called a foam roller, and they come in all shapes and sizes. Some of them are actually round nowadays. This is kind of like the classic foam roller. This is a couple years old. It's just a plastic tube, and it's hollow on the inside, and it's a little bit foamy, squishy on the outside. Some of them are like harder, and basically the harder it is and the more like spiky it is, then the more deep it's going to dig into your muscles. And this is a tool that has been popular for a few years now in the fitness community. And there's a little bit of controversy over its efficacy. Some people say, I don't know if you've heard this, Thosh, but some people claim that there's really no point to a foam roller. I personally, in my experience, they just make me feel good. And so if it's something that is kind of massaging my muscle and has an immediate impact on how I feel, then to me, that is effective. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're gonna get varying viewpoints on all kinds of fitness stuff. And like Thosh mentioned, we definitely don't claim to be the ultimate fitness experts, but we're just sharing what works for us, what makes us feel good, and what we like to use in our fitness practice.
Yeah, and it's when doing foam rolling, it's a form of self-myofascial release.
Yes.
Helps with soreness, and it helps with mobility in the muscles. And the fascia is actually the connective tissue, right? That binds your muscles together. But so like Chelsea said, yeah, there's some studies that say, oh, it does it. There's other studies that says it does. But like Chelsea says, I find a lot of relief in my muscles after training after I foam roll. When I foam roll my quadriceps, my glutes, my low back, my lats, and I just feel a lot of relief, and it's very relaxing for me. It's very relaxing.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second here. I'm gonna check on Aloe. She's sleeping right here in the next room.
So we're also juggling our toddler, our 2.5-year-old daughter, who is
fell asleep on that recliner.
Oh, good. Yeah, she's always involved and a part of all of our trainings, and so we always have to maintain her as well. So thanks for being with us.
Okay, so I'm going to take my computer all the way down to the floor here, because this is kind of a floor exercise, and forgive us for all the motion. It's always challenging to do fitness demonstrations over Zoom, but we're doing our best. And so if you have one of these, please do go ahead and get on the floor with us. And we're just going to show you the basic foam roll movements. I'm going to start by rolling out my IT bands. Your IT bands are basically the area that connects your hip to your knees. And these are one of the areas that get more sore than any other areas on your body. So let's see. And you can follow, Thosh, actually, you can probably have a better view of him. So we'll just do this together. And see how, Thosh, if you could be vertical so that I can be, or if you could be horizontal so that I can be vertical and talk to camera. But just notice how Thosh starts out with the foam rollers sideways, perpendicular to him. And then you just kind of rest your upper hip area or your upper IT band onto the foam roller. And then you get in a comfortable position where you can support yourself. I'm on one forearm and one hand. And then you just kind of start rolling back and forth. And you'll notice it kind of hurts. And it'll hurt. The more sore and muscle building you've been doing, and the tighter you are, the more this is going to kind of feel a bit painful. But it's not the kind of pain that is going to hurt you. It's the kind of pain that is just actually providing some relief to your muscle. So this is one of the reasons why I love the way it feels. And notice how Dash's leg is crossed, his left leg is crossed over his right leg. I'm doing the opposite side. My right leg is crossed over my left leg.
You have to breathe through it too.
Yes. As with any other movement, when you're rolling out your body, deep breaths will allow the oxygen to access that area and will allow the healing to occur. And it will also help you work through the pain. It's kind of a mental game. So let's go ahead and switch legs. Tosh, will you show them how to do that switch? So again, this is one of those simple tools, inexpensive, relatively. And some people, they see that and they go, what the heck do I do with that? So we just wanted to really quickly demonstrate some of the most common foam rolling techniques. You could even roll forward. Like, it kind of depends just on what you feel. You really can't hurt yourself with a foam roller. You could try even on your shin to start out with. You could try doing both legs like this.
Exactly. I like it on the front of my quadriceps that from after, especially after doing like lunging and squatting movements, where I'm feeling all that muscle soreness and tightness in my quadriceps. And that's where I go and I'll roll. Sometimes I'll do each individual quadricep and I'll roll it nice and slow and breathe. So that's another good one right there. Also, my hamstrings is one I do too. So if you're a person who runs a lot, or you do a lot of hip hinge movements, like you're deadlifting, or you're doing a lot of incline hiking, our hamstrings are always at work. Or you do a lot of sitting. If you're sitting a lot, the hamstrings actually shorten, which creates aches in the low back. So I always roll my hamstring too, as well, like so. I'll do that for about anywhere between 40 to 60 seconds each side, back and forth a few times. I'll try to relax everything in the leg. Don't flex, don't fight it, just relax into it. And then
it's a little bit of a balance game, and you'll find that it's all about balancing out, just being able to hold yourself up without actually making it a workout in and of itself. And the more you do it, the more you get used to it.
And the other favorite one is doing the back. Everyone's back gets sore, even if you're not very active, but if you work all day, you're on your feet, even sitting, if you're sitting in front of the desk all the time, if you're driving a lot, we end up getting back aches from muscle imbalances and just inactivity in general. So one of my favorites is rolling my back, and rolling all the mid back up to the scapula right there. And the way I do it is I'll start here, and I'll put my hands up here.
Or you could have your hands on your chest, like how I have mine.
Either way, yeah.
Oh, real good. And you can focus only on your upper back, or you can roll all the way up and down like Tosh is.
You put your arms above your head too as well, and roll it up a little bit higher to the back of your delts, to your rear delt. And another good one too, for helping to relieve low back tightness that I feel is I'll do this, is I'll put the foam roller way just above your tailbone, just above that lumbar spine. And I'll sit there like this and raise my arms up and just open up all of your anterior, all of your hips, and just, you should feel like your spine kind of pulling, decompress a little bit. And this is one I do that's really good to help with low back pain, low back tightness. in addition to stretching my hamstrings and foam rolling them, as well as rolling the bottom of my feet with a lacrosse ball, which I'm gonna show after a while. And then rolling your lats too. If you get lat tightness, so if you're overhead pressing things, you know, or if you're just not that active and mobile, our lats get tight. So we need to create mobility by doing movements, but we can also do it by help to soften up that tissue there. So this is also one of my favorites. And breathe.
Ooh. And this is a lot like the IT band where it's a really tight area. So you kind of have to really breathe and work through the discomfort. Got to retie my hair here, it's falling out. My braids coming undone.
Yes, so that's a couple of my favorite. Those are a couple of my favorite foam rolling techniques and Chelsea's favorite foam rolling techniques. And again, we encourage you to do more research to learn a little bit more about myofascial release techniques. And if you're interested in science, there's a lot of science that supports it. And there's many, many more techniques to utilize. There's people that actually specialize in areas like this. So we encourage you to find those resources and even get someone to walk you through them and make sure that you're doing the proper technique.
Yes. And good times to use the foam roller is right before you work out, right after you work out, and on a rest day. You can just, you know, one thing that Thosh, I see him doing all the time is like if it's nighttime and we're kind of winding down and watching a movie or something, he'll take out the foam roller and just start stretching around and using that. So it's a handy tool to have on hand and it feels kind of good. And we are going to end the power hour a little bit early today at in about 15 or 20 minutes. So because we have our Native Wellness Youth Conference happening that we're doing all digitally, and we're going to jump to that. But so just an FYI for timing, we've only got about 15 or 20 minutes left and a few more things to get through. So now Thosh is going to go on and move on to our next tool.
So the next one I want to share is using a lacrosse ball as also a massage device. It's another good device for myofascial release. And this one gets a little bit more deeper into your muscle tissue and really into those muscle fibers and those muscle neurons. So it's going to hurt a little bit more, but it's really good. Like if you have knots in your glutes, or if you have knots and tightness in your chest and your shoulders, this one is a really good one. Also for your upper back. So here's what we're going to do is now it has to be as hard as a lacrosse ball, because some people will ask, can I use a tennis ball? And I think a tennis ball is too soft. Or some will say, can I use a baseball? I mean, I think that you could, but it might be kind of hard. Typically, people just use a lacrosse ball, and lacrosse balls are very inexpensive, very affordable. You can order them online. And so here's what we're going to do is you're going to get that lacrosse ball and you're going to place it about right here. So I'm in my shoulder. I'm just on the inside of my scapula, your shoulder blade, between there and your spine. And I'm going to put it right here and place it against the wall. Oops. Make sure not to drop it like that. There we go.
And I don't have one with me. Otherwise, I would be following along.
Yes. So let me see if I can get the angle. Good. So now you see it, and I'm leaning. I'm really leaning, and I'm holding it on the points where I feel the most tension and pain, like knots. You're going to hold it on that knot there and just let it sit and lean into it and breathe. You want to use your mind to really connect to that area and try to really relax that area and let that ball get in there and do its work. Just break up some of that tissue that's starting to bind up, and maybe there's scar tissue there from an injury, I don't know. But this is a good one to help with a lot of relief. To me, again, it just feels relaxing when I do that. You can also put it right here where your shoulder, your anterior delt meets your pec. You can put it right there. And so you can see how I'm parallel to the wall, and I'm putting that ball right here, and I'm just leaning. I'm leaning in there and rolling around that area. So this helps to break up that tissue, but it helps with like shoulder mobility and just general relief of that muscle tightness and soreness. It's really important, because if we become immobile, then I think that's what sets us up for continued aches and pains, and just overall contributes to our body not functioning much better as we continue to age, no matter what age you are. And so I'm just going to share one more quick one. And this one is a good one for, there's a couple of these, but for timing purposes, I'm going to share just a couple of main ones. Now we're going to put this, we're going to kind of sit on it. And so this is a good one for the glute. So if you're like an athlete, or you're very active, where you're using your legs a lot, the glute's the biggest muscle in your body, and it's firing a lot. So a lot of times we get those knots. So here's what I'm gonna do. This one hurts. If you've never done this before, you have to be careful and just take it easy. So what I'm gonna do is I'm sitting here like this. And a lot of times I'll stretch first a little bit, like so. All that stretches out your glute. Or I'll go into this stretch, a pigeon stretch. Or right here. Just to kind of do that. Or I may start with the foam roller, and I may go there first to primer things up. I'm rolling, and I'll usually go slower and breathe more. And then once I feel like that's sort of primering things up, then I'm gonna go into that lacrosse ball. And I'm gonna sit on it like right in the middle of my glute, and I'm just gonna really, really let that tightness let that lacrosse ball break that tightness. Ooh, this one, it's painful as you're doing it, but it also feels kind of good. Breathe, don't fight the tightness. And when you're finished with that, you really feel a difference in the way your body operates, the way you walk. And you just feel all around a little bit less tight. And that helps with your relaxation. I notice that when my muscles are tight, I become irritable, like my mood. So this is how this affects your overall well-being as well. So that's a lacrosse ball. That's an awesome one to utilize as well. We have some of these laying around the house. So that's all I wanted to share about that one.
All right, cool. Did you want to show your
Hyperbole
tool, whatever, what is that thing called?
The Hypervolt, yes.
Hypervolt. Okay, so while he's digging that out, I'll just tell you about it a little bit. Thosh has this tool called the Hypervolt. And this is if if it's in your budget to really spend on fitness equipment. He actually got his as a gift, but it's about $400. But
it's free now.
Oh, $300. And it looks like a hair dryer from the 80s. But it's a really cool, it feels great, and it's a great tool for self-massage. And Thosh was like a kid at Christmas when he got that thing in the mail.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, it's something that a lot of massage therapists are using, but athletes are using it to work on yourself. So if you're interested in investing more and things like that, there's also there's a couple of brands, but this is by Hypervolt. So we just also want to throw that in there to kind of show just all the self-relief devices that are coming out.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So before we get into my static stretching, so those are all the tools. Those are pretty much all the tools you do use for recovery days, right, Thosh?
For us, yes.
Yeah, for us. I mean, sauna is another one. Yeah. If you have access to a sauna in your gym or whatever, that's another good recovery tool. If you can afford it, like I'm the kind of person that I don't spend as much as I should probably on self-care, because I always feel a little weird about it. But if every so often, treat yourself to actually getting a professional massage, that can make all the difference. And some of them are relatively affordable depending on where you live. But yeah, those are just some some recovery techniques that we use and some good rest day movements.
I think we can go on to stretching and end it from there.
Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna do floor stretches with you. And once again, trying to set up to where you can see me. And can you hear me fine, Gosh?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Okay, great. So everybody go ahead and sit on the floor with me if you can. And as you can see, I just have a little bit of tiny bit of space here, and that's all you really need. So static stretching is a more deep, a more intense stretch. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. If, you know, some people, like myself, have flexibility as an actual practice, as a part of your movement, that you do it so often that it's something you're constantly working at, that you don't necessarily need to be like super warmed up before, if you already have some flexibility training under your belt. But if you're just, you know, but if you're not a person who has done a lot of flexibility training, then it is really important to get those good dynamic warm-ups in, like Dosh showed in the beginning of this session, or to save the static stretching for immediately following a run or a workout when your muscles are really warm. Otherwise, you're at risk of hurting yourself. And so everybody just go ahead and put your feet right out in front of you. And I always start by doing a shake of the knees. So you can even hear it. You can hear my knees hitting the floor. And this is, and that action of your leg muscles hitting the floor is gonna loosen them up. Good. So I'm turning to the side so you can see, and I'm gonna sit nice and upright. And then we're just gonna go ahead, and the feet are right up in front of us, and we're gonna point and flex. Point and flex, pointing and flexing the toes. Good. You can go slow, you can go fast, whatever feels good for you, and try to have a nice and upright posture and keep your breath going. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, flex the toes, and exhale, point the toes. And maintaining that nice upright posture, go ahead and put your hands on your hips and gently lean forward without sacrificing your posture. So this is a hip hinge. So you're hinging at your hips, and you're not going to be able to go very far unless you're like extremely flexible, which I'm not right now. And then after this, then now that you've known and discovered how far you can go with an upright posture, you can then go ahead and place your arms in front of you like so, and gently allow your back to relax and allow your back to bend. And go ahead and stretch, and you can have the toes either pointed or flexed, whatever works for you. And just let's hold this here. Let's hold it for a good, maybe 15 seconds or so. I'll let you know when we can come up. And keep breathing. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And come back up. And now we're gonna play with a technique that I always use when stretching. So after we get into the stretch, you're gonna play with doing an inhale and just letting yourself relax slightly. So maybe like this. So you're gonna inhale. And as you exhale, you're gonna find your stretch goes a little bit deeper. So you're using your breath to deepen your stretch. And inhale, relax the stretch. And exhale, push a little bit harder. And inhale, relax the stretch. And exhale, push a little bit harder. Good. So you see, by the beginning of it, I was about here. And at the end of it, my hands were all the way in front of my toes like that. So that's just kind of how you ease yourself into a deep stretch. And now we're gonna go ahead and do one leg at a time. So tuck one leg in, other leg sticks out. You're up right here. And just like last time, we're gonna turn toward our knee, and we're gonna just hinge at the hips. See how far you can go. Good. See how far you can go with an upright posture. And then you're gonna go ahead and relax it. and stretch all the way out. Extend the arm. Good. You can do it like me, where your kind of ear is sideways touching your knee, or you can do like Thosh, where your face is more so downward facing your knee, or you can alternate between the two. And using the inhale, exhale technique to get a nice deep stretch. Good. And now we're going to go ahead and switch legs. Inhale and exhale, enter the stretch with just an upright posture. This is all about learning our limits a little bit and knowing the difference between a controlled stretch and then more of a relaxed, where you're letting your back and you're letting your posture go. Good. And then just go ahead. You can touch your nose to knee, or you can touch ear to knee. You can reach your arm over the side like this, or you can reach it out in front of you like this. Whatever works for you. And then let's go ahead and play with that inhale, exhale. So inhale, come up a bit. Exhale, deepen the stretch. Inhale, come up a bit. Exhale, deepen the stretch. So you should be going further every time. Inhale, relax. And exhale, really deepen that stretch. Awesome. Okay, so now we're going to enter a straddle position, see how many minutes. Okay, we're just about out of time, so this is going to be our last one. Straddle position. Do the knee shape like we did in the beginning. And then you're just going to inhale and slowly lean forward, getting a nice deep stretch there, but not to the point where it's like painful. Discomfort is okay, but you don't want to hurt yourself. Inhale and exhale. Deeper stretch. Inhale. Exhale, our third deeper stretch. Inhale. And we're going to go into our fourth deeper stretch. Try to lay your face all the way flat if you can. And we're going to hold here for about 10 seconds. Good, and then slowly come on back up and shake it out again, just a little bit. All right, so that's all we have time for today because we have to head on over to our youth camp, but we hope that some of these tools might have been helpful for you. Like we say, you can do these after, immediately following a workout, or you can do these on a rest day. And just make sure to take care of your bodies, get that rest in, and understand the importance of recovery. Thank you all so much for having us. Thosh, do you have anything else to say?
No, that's it. Just want to encourage everyone to find out, once again, find what modality of movement works for you and continue to, as much as we exercise our mind and reading and learning and meditation and singing our songs and ceremonies and learning languages, we also always have to exercise our body so we can be in good health, to be able to pass on great knowledge and teaching to our future generations. And so that way our cultures and our heritage identity continues to evolve. So just wanted to wish everyone well out there and extend my heart to you that you're taking care of yourself and your relatives during this time. That's it.
All right.